People often say Prague is one of the most beautiful cities in Europe. But how expensive is it really in 2026? And is it still affordable for a short city break? In this video, I'll break down exactly how much a 3-day trip to Prague really costs in 2026. We'll look at flights, accommodation, food, transportation, attractions, and some extra expenses that many travelers forget to include when planning their budget. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear idea of how much money you actually need and whether Prague is worth it for your next European trip. Let's start with flights. If you're flying from most European cities, round-trip flights to Prague usually cost between 50 and 150 euros. Prices depend on the season, how early you book, and the city you're flying from. Spring and autumn are generally the cheapest times to visit Prague. Summer months, Christmas, and major holidays tend to be more expensive, especially if you book late. Low-cost airlines like Ryanair, Wizz Air, and EasyJet operate many routes to Prague and often offer good deals if you plan ahead. If you're flying from outside Europe, flight prices are higher, but Prague is still cheaper than destinations like Paris, Amsterdam, or London. Now let's talk about accommodation. Prague offers a wide range of places to stay, but it is slightly more expensive than cities like Budapest or Krakow. A budget hotel or a well-rated Airbnb usually costs between 60 and 90 euros per night for 2 people. Mid-range hotels typically range from 100 to 150 euros per night, depending on location and season. For a 3-night stay, accommodation will usually cost between 200 and 400 euros in total. Location matters a lot in Prague. Staying in the historic city center is more expensive, while neighborhoods a bit farther away can be significantly cheaper. Thanks to Prague's reliable public transportation system, staying outside the center is often a smart way to save money without sacrificing convenience. Now let's talk about food. Food in Prague is affordable, but prices are higher than in Hungary. A meal at a local restaurant usually costs between 10 and 15 euros. Traditional Czech dishes are filling and reasonably priced. Street food options like sausages or sandwiches are cheaper, but prices in tourist areas can be surprisingly high. If you eat out 3 times a day, you'll spend around 30 to 40 euros per day on food. Coffee typically costs around 3 euros, while a beer usually costs between 2 and 4 euros. One important thing to keep in mind is location. Restaurants near major tourist attractions often charge more for lower quality food. Local places just a few streets away usually offer better value and a more authentic experience. For 3 days, food costs will usually add up to around 90 to 120 euros per person. Getting around Prague is simple and affordable. Public transportation is efficient and easy to use, even for first-time visitors. A 72-hour public transport pass costs around 14 euros and covers trams, buses, and the metro. Most tourist areas are walkable, so transportation costs stay relatively low. Now let's look at attractions and activities. Prague offers many free attractions, including walking through the historic Old Town, crossing Charles Bridge, and exploring public squares. Paid attractions are generally affordable. Castles, museums, and historic buildings usually cost between 8 and 15 euros per entry. Popular attractions like Prague Castle can cost a bit more depending on which areas you visit. For a 3-day trip, you can expect to spend around 30 to 60 euros on attractions. Now let's add everything up. Flights usually cost between 50 and 150 euros. Accommodation costs between 200 and 400 euros. Food costs between 90 and 120 euros. Transportation costs around 14 euros. Attractions cost between 30 and 60 euros. That means a 3-day trip to Prague in 2026 costs between 380 and 740 euros per person, depending on your travel style and choices. Prague is slightly more expensive than some Eastern European cities, but it still offers great value for money. With its historic architecture, lively atmosphere, and central location in Europe, Prague remains one of the most popular city break destinations. If you're planning a short European trip in 2026 and want a city that balances beauty, history, and reasonable prices, Prague is definitely worth considering. Thanks for watching. If this breakdown helped you, consider subscribing for more realistic travel cost guides.